Chris, how you doing?
How do I know you're you?
Just give me the test.
What's my favorite movie?
Tron.
How many fucks did they say in The Big Lebowski?
260.
How much electricity do you need to travel back in time?
1.21 gigawatts.
How many Robot Masters are there in the Mega Man games?
Too many.
Yeah, you're you. So you know that we're pretty big gamers. It's given, yeah. But there's actually a lot of classic video games for like the old systems, like the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, that were never released in America. And a lot of companies lately, or indie companies, have been making these reproductions of them, translating these Japanese games into English, making ones from Europe and Australia. They're regionalizing them for the U.S., you know, because most of them are in PAL, and they are kind of pricey, but sometimes they're actually worth it, I think. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about some of the reproduction games that, at least the ones that I own. Starting with Sweet Home for the Nintendo. It's the first horror video game to be made for the Nintendo, and probably the only real genuine horror game that was ever made, because it was deemed too adult to be released in the U.S. Because we're just a country full of pussies.
Yeah, we couldn't handle it.
Fuck you, Joel Lieberman. But yeah, it's violent. Yeah, it has some blood and some gore. It's actually just an RPG that's based off of a really, really bad movie that came out of Japan also called Sweet Home. But it was also the inspiration for the original Resident Evil game. But it's honestly, it's by Capcom. I mean, come on, Capcom doesn't do this stuff. Well, they do now, but they didn't do that stuff back then. Back then, they were just all about Mega Man.
Yeah, moneymaker.
Come on, man. Mega Man, Little Nemo the Dream Master.
Ooh, that's another good one.
But yeah, it's a turn-based RPG where you're teamed up with a second character, kind of like Earthbound, I want to say, where you have like an entourage, or like Phantasy Star, where you have to drag people around. But each person, or each character, I think there's like 4 or 5 characters, each one has a specific task that they can do. You need to pick your character that you're going to bring with you very carefully to solve certain puzzles that you find along the way. But when it comes to like doing the fights or the battles, it's a standard RPG type of situation. There just happens to be gore. You're Mr. RPG. This is right up your alley.
I know, but I don't get these fancy ones. And I
got lucky with that one because this is the last game I bought from Time Walk Games before they shut their doors. And yeah, I had waited until they discounted it. So they had the last month that they were open, they put like a really weird discount on all their games, and they didn't say anything about that they were getting ready to close, and that was why they were doing it. So I was just kind of like, oh, now's the time, you know, buy these while I can while they're cheap. And next thing you know, they're done, they're closed, and now I can't get really cool reproductions anymore. I still can, but now they're kind of iffy quality wise. But Time Warp used to put some really good stuff. This came with like a box and a label for the cartridge that looks like a genuine one, instruction book, a poster. It actually has a map on it for the game. It's actually really cool.
呪いの背後に潜む暗黒の支配者の正体とは何か。本格ホラー映画スイートホーム。方になりたい方もどうぞ。
And then the Goonies.
Yeah, I have played this one.
Yes,
this one's
have.
awesome.
We never got the original Goonies game over here. I don't know why.
It wasn't violent. I mean, it wasn't.
No. I mean, it wasn't a rights issue because Konami, who made this one, released Goonies 2 over here.
Yeah, which was also an awesome game.
Yeah,
totally different.
Hard as fuck.
Yeah, totally different premise.
That one's more like an exploratory
yeah.
type of puzzle game. You know, where you got to remember where certain people are in relation to where you are, and this one is actually just like a side scroller.
Yeah.
But I remember playing this in the arcade when I was in junior high. We had a Washington D.C. trip, and the hotel we were staying at had like a pool area with a couple of arcade games, and this was in the Play Choice 10. Remember the Play Choice 10?
Yeah.
That you used to have like 10 Nintendo games in that you only had like a time limit to play each one. This was in it, and I was like, "That's not the Goonies game that I have at home. What's up here? This is weird." Well, apparently Konami never released this over here. And I always thought that the Goonies 2 game was meant to just be a sequel to the movie.
Yeah.
Turns out it was actually a sequel to a game.
Yeah.
That we never got. Why? I don't know. But it is fun. It's just as hard as the second one, but in different ways. This one's actually just a side scroller.
Rocky Road?
And then there is the Fireman, which was only released. It was released in Japan, but it was also released in Europe and Australia. You play as this fat fireman guy. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but he has a hose. And he has 2 different ways to attack the fires. Basically, you're going into this building to stop this building from burning down that has this chemical in it that could possibly, if it gets set on fire, it could destroy the city or something. And you have 2 modes of attack. You have a hose, which takes out big fires. You have a fire extinguisher that takes out small ones. And you have your little lackey guy that has an axe, and he'll actually swat fires out with it. Most of the time, it's just the small ones. But there's a lot of like level memorization in this because it can be kind of like a maze that you're running around in. There's boss fights, which kind of is weird because you're a firefighter. And there's boss fires that like have a mind of their own that follow you around and will chase you and have attack patterns and stuff like that, which is kind of weird, but it's a video game, so who cares?
Yeah, kind of cool though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique game. I saw one of the YouTube channels that I watch is called GameSack, and every once in a while they'll do an episode about games that we never got in the U.S., and this was one that they talked about, and it sounded so weird. I actually was like, I have to look that one up, and then I found it on Time Walk. But it's a lot of fun. Music's pretty cool. The game mechanics are cool. The AI of your little lackey guy that follows you around does not suck. He does not get caught on things.
Yeah, which is rare.
Yeah, and he attacks things. He's like usually the first person to attack things when you walk in the room. He's just kind of like, yo, fuck this! Yeah, basically.
And my ox!
Yes! Which is kind of weird because normally they'll just like every once in a while, like you'll be halfway through killing something, he'll just go... Yeah, that's what you would think. But no, he actually runs up to it and goes, this bitch is mine. Kill it with my axe.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense, but whatever, it's a video game. But it is a lot of fun. If you can find a copy of this, I recommend it.
Did it look at you? Did the fire look at you?
The last one I got off of eBay. Super Back to the Future 2.
Gonna go back in time.
Okay then.
Did I hear this?
This they did have on Time Walk, but they closed before I could get a copy of it. But then I found a guy selling his own versions of Reproductions on eBay pretty decently cheap. I got this, I think, for $40. It came with the box and instructions and everything. I remember seeing a video about this where they were talking about, I think it was the Angry Video Game Nerd, was talking about how much he hates the Nintendo Back to the Future games that they made, and there's one for the Genesis too that was pretty awful. But this was the only one that actually was playable, and it's a side-scrolling game. It's kind of like playing, I guess, Mario World, Super Mario World-ish, but you're on a hoverboard. You jump on enemies' heads. You collect coins. You can actually buy upgrades. You'll come across these like little soda machines that if you walk past it, when you have enough coins, you'll actually buy the upgrade, and if you don't want it, you have to jump over it, type of deal. There's boss fights. You get to fight Biff all the time. Biff a lot. But it takes place in the future in the 2015 Hill Valley. My only gripes is the controls can be kind of weird every once in a while, and you had better love the theme music from Back to the Future because you will hear it a lot.
Gonna go back in time.
Not that one.
Oh.
Yeah, the theme music.
No,
you better love it because you will hear every fucking variation that you could possibly think of in this game. Every level uses that music. Sometimes it'll be slower, sometimes it'll be faster, sometimes it'll sound like a rock song, but it's always the same fucking music. And
Like a mariachi band, like style.
I would not be surprised if the final level takes place in some Mexico land thing and they've got this mariachi band version. I'm surprised there's not like a taiko drum version of it in there. I'm going to watch the fucking movie now. Because the moment I hear that, I'm going to have like Super Back to the Future 2 flashbacks.
Which is a bummer, because...
But don't get me wrong, it is a cool game. It is probably the best Back to the Future game you'll ever buy.
Yeah, the other ones were...
But we never got it over here. Why? I don't know. This probably would have sold.
It's too violent.
Yes, too much blood. There was too many titties in it.
Too many hoverboard
16-bit titties.
Oh, 16-bit titties.
Yeah, they thought this would be the cause of many hoverboard-related injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the gateway drug to hoverboarding.
Damn. Where are our hoverboards, by the way? I want my
Where are
hoverboards.
hoverboards?
It's 1 year away, bitch.
Yeah.
I want a hoverboard.
There is a company supposedly though. That's
Well,
got
oh
one.
yeah, I saw that they were doing tests.
Yeah. And there's a video you can see where Tony Hawk stands on one. He doesn't really do much with it,
But I don't think they have it ready for
No.
him to do like 1080s on.
But he's floating. It's cool.
It's all magnetic, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
Next, I
about
want
fucking time.
my self-tying shoes.
You mean you have to use your hands? That's like a baby's toy.
Take a big step back and literally fuck your own face!
Hi, Playongo here. I'm answering a call for help today from the fine gentleman of TOASTY. Chris reached out to me because they're looking to get back into anime after a fairly long hiatus. So I've chosen 3 titles that I think represent some of the better things that anime has to offer over the past several years that I think are going to be really good starting points for somebody who is trying to get back into this after a long time. Let's take a look. For starters, I'd like to recommend Steins Gate. I think that this exemplifies some trends in modern anime. For starters, it's based on a visual novel, which I think we've seen more of in the past, decade or so. The characters also are participants in otaku culture, so I think that they're partaking of the same things that the audience is in watching this, which I think we see a lot more of. This really, at its heart, is a science fiction story and a time travel story in particular. It's also one that I like very much for being rather dark. So, you're going to be in for a pretty intense ride with this one. And, if you've been away from anime for a while and are looking for something that I think is compelling on pretty much every level, you could not do better than Steins Gate. I think that this would be an excellent reintroduction. Next up is something that I believe aired last year. It's something that I watched on Crunchyroll. And, I believe that this one may be one of the most predictable recommendations, and that is Attack on Titan. If you're even considering getting back into anime, I would be surprised if you hadn't heard of this. I get hints of Lost from it somehow, in terms of you have these characters that are engaged in this kind of deep mystery, and they're struggling for their lives. It's kind of this closed space, and they really have to work together in order to survive. And then beyond that, you also have these cliffhangers, that each episode will sort of end on, and these little bits of information that you kind of get fed to slowly kind of start unraveling the mystery as more mysteries are added. Attack on Titan is definitely very visceral, very violent. A real emotional roller coaster. It may not be for everyone, but if you're looking to get back into anime, I would say, definitely give that one a look, because it's captured the attention of a lot of people, and it really deserves it. I realized I forgot to mention the basic premise of the series, which is essentially that people swing around like Spider-Man, wearing this special equipment in order to fight man-eating giants that look like big, naked, scary people. So lastly, I'd like to recommend Non Non Biori. This is something that I watched on Crunchyroll also last year. And one of the things I really like about Crunchyroll is that you can watch previously aired anime without having any kind of paid subscriptions. So if you just go to their website, you can check out Attack on Titan there. You can check out Non Non Biori. I don't believe you can check out Steins Gate. That might be a little bit harder, but definitely worth it if you can track that down. Even the Blu-rays are a little pricey. Even I haven't bit on those, but I really should have. But what I like about Non Non Biori is it's representative of the slice of life genre, and honestly that comprises the bulk of my anime watching these days. It's really about a girl who moves to the country with her family and ends up attending a extremely small school with only five students. and it's about their daily lives. Like some other slice of life comedies, it does include one character that kind of stands out. They're sort of drawn a little bit differently, and maybe they aren't the main character, but they sort of by default end up becoming the main character. But really, it's just a very charming, sort of understated comedy about like these girls' daily lives and sort of their little foibles. It almost has a sense of like a wabi-sabi kind of aesthetic, just sort of focusing on the, the little imperfections and the little, sort of details of rural life and living. And I just think it's exceedingly charming. Unlike the other series, it's not violent at all. I think it's very accessible, very approachable, really for anyone. And if you like that, I think that there's a whole range of other shows that you would really enjoy. So those are my recommendations. I hope that this has been helpful.
So I want to talk about an old movie that's one of my favorites, and for many reasons. I'm hoping that everyone who's watching this has seen this movie. If not you, will have to see it after this, after me and you.
What's wrong with you?
It. Yeah. But it's Big Trouble in Little China, starring Kurt Russell. The Russell. Whatever, Russell. It's a story about a truck driver who comes across a territory gang fight, and in Chinatown, and I forget what city it's in.
It's San Francisco?
Yeah. But yeah, and, then he has to bail on a semi, and then the semi gets taken, and now he needs to get his semi back so he can get out of there, and he needs the help from his buddy Wang, who's the martial art guy of the movie.
His girlfriend has been kidnapped.
That's right. Girlfriend's been kidnapped. Green Eyes, it's a big thing in this world, and it's a comedy action film, which is something I really enjoy. A lot like Pineapple Express without all the drugs, But
it's just kung fu. Kung fu and supernatural Asian things.
Yeah, well, it's, And Kurt Russell, what's best about the movie is Kurt Russell, most of his lines start with who, what, or when.
What does that mean? Huh? I don't even know what the hell that means.
Because those characters supposed to be completely clueless.
Yeah, and he is. He's like, I don't even know what that means. He's just...
Is it hot in here or is it just me?
Yeah. Who is that? I don't even know who the hell that is. That's my Kurt Russell impression.
Well, he's like doing like his worst John Wayne impression the whole movie.
He is doing a John
But he's
Wayne.
like, it's like you've got a big name star in the movie, and the best thing about it is he's the sidekick.
Yeah.
It's really Wang's movie.
Yeah, Kurt literally does nothing.
Yeah.
Through the whole,
Nothing.
He stabs the guy, but then the guy like falls on him.
And he misses out the whole fight because he's got this guy on top of him he can't get off.
Yeah.
During the big finale.
Yeah.
I mean, he does do one cool thing at the end with the knife.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. And that was completely by accident, I think.
Yeah, and kind of set up though, because it's all in the reflexes. That's all they can say. And they kind of set that up early. He has these like reflexes. Does this cool knife.
That's the only thing he has. That's the only thing he has going for him.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. It has weird sci-fi kind of stuff in it, like Chris said, and a lot of good jokes. It's Kurt Russell being like the funny Kurt Russell, which is always a good time.
I think John Carpenter can do comedy really well.
Yeah.
He had never. I don't think he hadn't done anything comedy related at all.
No, I don't even think he tried.
No, there might be some unintentional humor in there. Like Escape from New York had a couple of zingers.
Yeah.
But it's not a funny movie by any stretch of the imagination.
And that could have been Kurt Russell too.
Yes. Well, just being deadpan the way he did. Yeah. But this is like the exact opposite of Snake Plissken. This guy's like all swagger and.
Yeah.
No, that's about it. That's all he is. It's all swagger. He's all talk and no follow through.
And as you can see on the cover of the Blu-ray, he's holding a Uzi.
He's like a Mac-10.
Yeah, Mac-10, and yeah, he doesn't do anything.
No, he shoots. He goes to shoot somebody, and then the gun gets taken away from him and broken.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, great movie though.
It's really fun. It's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, I have a lot of memories. It's one of those I'd sit down and watch with my dad, and that and The Burbs is another one of those that style like that I have a lot of memories of sitting down and living and watching with my dad.
Yeah, this is one of those movies. Whenever it was on cable, no matter where I would catch it, when I would turn it on, I would watch it.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like that in Major League. Is like that with me. It's like, it could be the very ending. I'll still watch it. Or Sandlot. Sandlot's another one.
Sandlot's like Kill me, Smalls.
Yeah, you can catch it anywhere, and you're like, oh sweet, I didn't miss this one joke. You know, like good movies. Yeah, if you haven't seen the Big Trouble in Little China,
Raiden's in it.
You gotta, Raiden. Yeah.
Yeah, most useless hand maneuvers anyone has ever done in a movie. Just
yeah.
it's like, what do you just?
Yeah, she's got a sweet hat.
Come on, at least that's one thing Storm had going for her in the X-Men movie. She just goes,
yeah, just hit you with it.
Frizzle fry, you punk ass.
And he has to he's like a generator. He has to work it up.
Yeah, he's like, it's like static electricity. He's like, I gotta rub my shirt together a lot.
You stay right there, don't go anywhere. Sit. I'd still take the power though, even if I had to warm it up. I'd still take the power to issue electricity though.
The one that never made any sense to me of those 3 Storm guys was, okay, there was the guy who could blow himself up. I mean, he had the power of the wind.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. I mean, but like in the big scene in the beginning when they meet in the alley and you see the Storms for the first time, one guy pulls out these big blade knives, right?
Yeah.
The other guy had those stupid like
fans.
those rake fins that he pulled out.
That's right.
And then the last guy's the electricity guy. He holds his hands up. He's got these blades that are like floating over his palms that spin real fast like helicopter blades. That's like, those things are the most worthless thing ever. What are you gonna do with those? Like, palm somebody in the face?
Do you need your hair,
like,
kid?
check it out, man. I could blow dry your shit.
Yeah. He's gonna cut your hair. He's gonna comb it, and then I'm gonna blow dry.
But the thing was, like, okay, if it went really far past the his hand, it'd be okay. Yeah, that's an awesome movie. Super funny. Made 0 money when it was released.
Yeah.
This was considered a bomb. It almost ruined John Carpenter's career.
Oh, what they didn't know. It's a cult classic.
Yes, now it is. Now everybody loves this thing. But back in the day, I guess the problem was that Fox didn't know how to market it. And they made it either look like a comedy or they made it look like it was this kung fu movie. And it was really kind of both, and they never really showed both at the same time. Right. So people go seeing it, expecting it to be like this full-on comedy, and they're kind of like, what's with all the ass-kicking? Yeah. And other people are like, I'm going to go see a kung fu movie, like, what's with all the comedy? And just it confused people. Yeah. So, yeah, I remember it almost ruined John Carpenter's career until he made Prince of Darkness, I think. Yeah, he waited like 2 years to make another movie. And he made Prince of Darkness and put it back on the map because that was made for like no money. Like he made that and They Live back to back. I think each one cost like $2 million. And back then that's more than an indie movie would have, but that was still
a big budget.
But this was his big budget movie. This was the one.
Yeah, and you can see it too. There's a lot of action, a lot of cool big scenes.
Effects. Yeah. A lot of big epic scenes in it. A lot of real cool set design.
Yeah, especially when they get down into like the
sewers and
that's what I like too. It's kind of like almost like a video game. Where you start in one area and you're going through like the sewer, and then you go
and there's
into
bosses
the
that they have to fight every once in a while. There's like that big monster in the sewer.
Yeah, and then the monster that makes it towards
the end. What will come out no more?
That they use to leave it open for the second one. Yeah, go check this out if you haven't. And if you have seen it, you probably haven't seen it recently enough.
So watch it again.
So you should watch it. Go check it out.
Do it.
It's got Blu-ray.
Do now.
Blu-ray.
Get to the chopper. Well, that's a different movie.
My God, no. Please, what is that? Don't tell me.
Seriously, how'd that guy get past you?
I don't know, man. Someone knocked on my door, and next thing you know, I'm seeing you, and apparently it wasn't you, but it made my eyes all itchy, and yeah.
Okay.
You think we should, like, install some sort of, like, security measures in the apartment to make sure that doesn't happen again? Because I don't want to happen. No.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we could put landmines by the front door.
I'm going to say no, because I need to use that door.
Oh.
Just thought I'd let you know.
Landmines by the windows? Stop! Maybe we could make like a swinging hammer thing come from the ceiling into the front door.
You watched Nightmare on Elm Street last night, didn't you?
I did.
Maybe I could train Stella to be an attack kitty. Now she's about 2 years past her prime. Ooh, I got one.
Okay.
I can hire that little creepy psychic girl from Poltergeist to come and watch the door.
This house is clean.
On second thought, that'd be creepy as fuck. Caroline. Caroline.